Hello and welcome back to episode 15 of the Career Advice You Never Had podcast, where I provide you the career advice, education and support you may have missed out on in your career journey. I'm your host Angela, and today we'll be looking deeper into what you really want in your career. This episode is for anyone considering their next step, maybe feeling a little bit lost and stuck. Maybe you're frustrated with something or someone in your current role or situation. Maybe you're looking to make a change. Maybe you've been through a change, currently job seeking, or even have a big decision to make. And maybe you've never really known what you've wanted, and this is the first time you've ever considered your career like this. And it may seem a little bit daunting. Or maybe you've started thinking about it and you're experiencing overwhelm or overthinking and wondering, what do I really want? Wherever you are, you're in the right place. What do I really want is actually a pretty big question. We're going to dive deeper into this together through reflective questions and also an activity I often do when wondering, what do I want? The reflection will help you get to the truth by understanding yourself a little bit more, and the activity is going to help you get your thoughts clearer, bring you back to what's really important, give you the focus and direction you're looking for. The simple activity I'll take you through is a tool you can keep coming back to and use in any area of your life and any consideration, big or small, about what you really want. It is also available to download for free on my website, and the link will be in the show notes. And don't worry, you can listen to the episode without downloading anything and go through it mentally. Or you might like to come back to certain parts with a journal in hand and take any notes of your thoughts. Thank you for listening today. Your support and messages are truly heartwarming. And make sure you share this episode with friends or a family member who is looking for some career inspiration. So let's get into it. When it comes to knowing what you really want in your career, let's take it back to the very core of the word want. I looked up an online etymology dictionary that dates the word want to the early 1200s, with the meaning starting out as lacking, deficient in, or needing something essential in regards to poverty, and it grew to encompass the idea of desire, something wished for, and in need of in terms of personal preference to obtain, experience, and aspire to. The words that really resonate with me are lacking, in need, and desire. What about you? Wanting something is more of an inner experience for me. It's a stirring, a pull, or a long for something I currently don't have. The thought of having it fills a void and brings a sense of peace or satisfaction within. To want something reflects a gap between who you are now and what you want. What you may be experiencing is the pull for something more, and you may not have a clear picture of what is on the other side yet. The gap between where you are now and knowing can be the most challenging and frustrating part. Most people are uncomfortable with not knowing or having to put in the inner work to get there. Maybe in the past you've avoided exploration in this area as it may seem too much or too hard to think about, and you've tried filling the void with many other things. You may be really hard on yourself for not knowing. I know I did. I was a teacher for 14 years, and as soon as I had kids of my own, I knew it wasn't something what I really wanted. I tried many things to fill the void, from full-time, part-time, casual, different schools, PE, art, different grades, yet I knew deep down it wasn't right for me. Yeah, I didn't know how to answer. What do I really want? I hit a point after a big change in my life, and go back to episode 1 if you'd like to hear more about this. This change was the catalyst for me to finally figure out what I really wanted. There was no more avoiding or denying the truth, and I began to take small steps forward and search for what I really wanted in my career. I had to be really ready, and I'm hoping you found this episode and podcast because you are ready to find what it is you really want. This is the next step to begin to fill the gap. So let's start with you, your unique career journey that has placed you right here. I'll take you through some reflective questions to consider, because I'm really wondering about your experience with knowing what you want in your career. Have you ever known what you've wanted? Has there ever been a sense of clarity or confidence in a strong knowing at any stage of your career? Have your wants changed over time? And have you ever got what you wanted? Remembering we change over time. Our wants, our needs, our desires, values, priorities, personality, experiences, and circumstances, they all change. And at this moment, all of these parts of you may be entangled. I'm imagining that big ball of wool with that really big knot that needs unraveling. The answers are buried deep. And today's episode is about unraveling your wants. You may have a lot more to unravel, and future episodes or past episodes will allow you to work through each one. Remember, let's take it one step at a time. When it comes to knowing what you want, I wonder what is challenging you the most right now? What are your deepest desires? And what's motivating you to know? Also, how important is it for you to find out what you want? When it comes to knowing what you want, a big part of that is being aligned with who you really are, knowing what's important and putting a whole lot of trust in yourself. The activity we're about to do will bring to the surface the parts of you that want to come alive, that want to be heard, and confidently make a conscious, satisfying decision. Knowing what you want is putting you at the center of your career. You may have made decisions in the past based on shoulds, what society expected, the times, your circumstances, someone or something else that was at the center of your career. And wherever you are, you've gained a whole lot of experience. You've developed many skills. You've had lots of feedback along the way, and you know more than you realize about yourself. And in episode 5, I refer to this as your internal career that has evolved over time. If you want to know more, you can go back and listen to that one. Now let's spend the time unraveling this part of you. This simple technique I'll take you through will help identify what isn't working in your career at this current time and allow you to gain the clarity on what you do want. It is really that easy. So let's get into the activity. I've called it a career cleanse. And when we cleanse something, it means to clean or purify it. In a metaphorical sense, it's about removing and letting go of any thoughts, toxins, or negative influences or emotions. It's about creating a sense of renewal, clarity, or purity in whatever is being cleansed. This is a self-awareness tool that will help you see things you didn't before. You will need to be honest and notice if there's any avoidance to this task or it feels really daunting. That's okay. The career cleanse has 2 parts: don'ts and wants. And the first step to knowing what you really want in your career is to identify what you don't want. A don't is something that's frustrating you right now. Maybe it's something that you have no desire to do. Maybe it's something that you refuse to do now you know better. Maybe it's something that you'd prefer not to do in the future, you have no time for, and what's currently not working in your situation. Most people I work with within the first few sessions naturally start naming all the things that they don't want. This is a way to get it all out by exploring what is no longer working in your career. It will allow you to let go of past hurts, heal old wounds, and move on from what's outdated and no longer fits or suits the person you are today. And my hope is after doing this activity, you're inspired to take action in some way and feel motivated to make the necessary changes to rediscover who you are and take those steps towards what you really want. So remember, you can follow along in the download mentally, or if you do have a sheet of paper, grab yourself a pen and get really comfortable and ready to go. Step 1, don't wants. Most people know what they don't want in their career. You might hear them say, I don't want this, I don't want that. And knowing what you don't want is really normal. It's a part of the sorting process we go through in career development. It only becomes a problem when we get stuck in this kind of thinking. So take a moment to reflect back on your career and all the experiences that you've had up until now, positive and negative. And if you've listened to episode 6 and connected the dots, you can refer back to your insights from this. If not, I can highly recommend this episode. By looking back, this is where you'll find the clues as to what you don't want to live through again, that you don't enjoy, or you don't want in your career moving forward. And if you're working with paper, take that blank sheet and divide the page into 2 columns. We're going to label the first column on the left, don'ts, and the one on the right, wants. And in that first column, I want you to start the sentence, I don't want. This will allow your mind to have a starting point, and you can also put ... if you need, and then take a moment. Take a big breath and bring to mind the don't wants, what's not currently working, and just let them flow onto the page. Write them down one by one. For example, if you're currently commuting for 2 hours every day and find yourself really frustrated and tired, so write it down. I don't want to commute for 2 hours every day. Or if you're currently being treated unfairly at work, write down, I don't want to be treated unfairly at work. Maybe you're job seeking and you haven't heard back from the last job you applied for. I don't want to hear crickets. I don't want to not hear back from the roles I've applied for. Keep going and add as many as you can think of until your mind feels empty. And you can cover topics of people you work with, the environment, the work you're doing, the pay, and what's really important to you. And once there's no more don'ts, take that deep breath, let it go, and walk away from the page. How was that experience? Is there anything you noticed about your don't wants as you're looking back or considering what you've been thinking about? Does it reveal any ineffective patterns or habits that you may like to change? Is there anything on your list that you have the power to control? Now let's move into the second column and the wants. This is where the magic happens, and you can start creating that wish list for the future. By doing this, you may notice a transformation in your mood and energy and also your perspective. And my hope is that after completing this list, you'll feel energized, connected to yourself, and move into that possibility thinking as you've gained that deeper understanding of what this next step and what you want looks like and feels like. And this list you're about to create is something you can keep referring back to daily to remind you of what you really want, to start creating those new patterns, behaviors, and habits. Step 2, wants. At the top of the wants column, once again, have that starting point, I want. And then have a look at the don't wants on the left and begin by flipping them into what you do want. So use that first one on your list. Consider what the opposite would be. For example, I don't want to commute for 2 hours every day. Then how long do you want to commute for? And write, I want to commute to work for a maximum of 30 minutes. I don't want to be treated unfairly at work. Turns into, I want to be treated fairly at work. I don't want to not hear back from the roles I've applied for. Turns into, I want to hear back from each role I apply for with a simple email or phone call that says that my application was received. And if it was unsuccessful, to give me that really effective feedback because of X, Y, or Z. Yes, you can start to think of, write down, and ask for what you really want. We're going to use this as that wish list and keep noting down things that you want in the future, in that ideal role, in your current circumstance. And keep going, flipping the don'ts into wants. And once you've flipped the don'ts into wants, have a think of your current situation and begin to note down what is working. And is there anything that you want to keep doing? Keep adding these to your wants. And once again, do this until your mind feels empty and your desires have been heard. Take a deep breath and walk away from that page. How was that experience compared to your don'ts? Usually, don'ts come easier. Wants, if I'd asked you straight away, it may have been really challenging. Yet how was that to flip it first and then go into your current situation and look for what's working? Is there anything that you've noticed about your wants? And how do you feel now? And is there anything within your control that you can change with this new energy that you've created? I wonder what would be the next step that you'd like to take towards bridging that gap between where you are now and where you want to be, the person that you want to become, and get you a little bit closer to what you really want to do. I'd love to hear how you went with this activity, your reflections, and what resonated the most with you. And after listening to this episode, is there someone that comes to mind that you'd love to share this with who is looking for some career inspiration? In future episodes, I'll be exploring a few more career stories and how you can feel well while job seeking. Thank you again for listening. Your support is amazing. And if you haven't heard it today, you are amazing. There are many people who haven't had the career advice they've needed along their journey, and I'm here to provide it. Because together, we'll navigate this journey as you find your way, rediscover yourself, and focus on taking the next meaningful step in your career.